Hello, I'm Elisabeth Calbari and we are at Prime's Marine Assessment and Training Center. What you are about to see is a live brain mapping exercise on one of Prime's bridge management simulators. The goal is to show you how one can merge training, assessment, and practical learning in one user-friendly program. In addition to hard skills, the use of a simulator can also help us focus on brain signals and other bodily signals like breathing, heart rate, muscle contraction, blood flow, sweat, and many other cues, and receive information that will help us understand how someone behaves, reacts, and thinks under stress. So what are we going to demonstrate today? We will place our officer under a scenario involving stress in the form of an unexpected situation. Electrical sensor will be connected to specific areas of the body in a user-friendly way. A band is placed around the abdomen to monitor breathing patterns and respiration rate. Another type of sensor is placed on the finger and will help detect blood volume changes. A sweat gland sensor attached around fingers will measure the activity of sweat glands and the amount of perspiration on the skin. And finally, a temperature sensor attached to a finger will measure blood flow to the skin. Further, I will use a separate device in the form of a headband. This will be placed to the scalp to help monitor brain waves, the readings creating a map of the brain's activity. The electrical information coming from the brain is measured, amplified, digitized, and transformed into brain waves. Using these computer graphics and prompts, the devices then help us to receive important feedback instantly on the way someone reacts physically and mentally. The following screen shows all the information from the different sensors we described above. We know that under stress, body temperature often drops, and this helps us to understand the number of bodily reactions. Different combinations of brain waves involving frequency and strength can make the brain work more slowly, decrease processing speed, or more quickly increase processing speed. As may be imagined, both ends of the spectrum can have a negative impact on function. A brain that processes too slow may result in foggy thoughts and wrong decision-making. A brain that processes too quickly may result in anxiety, racing thoughts, or even poor attention. Here we observe changes that occur in brain waves concerning attention and anxiety levels. Here you can observe that when under stress, the officer exhibits changes in brain waves that are involved in concentration and focus. While his temperature has dropped, the heartbeat has increased, and all other signals show that his body and mind were significantly taken over by stressful situation and reaction. This means that the officer struggles to defend his feelings and fear rather than the situation, and all this happens in an unconscious way. But when people are trained to control these vital changes, then they are able to feel confident, calm, focused, and ready to control the situation because their body and mind are not in defense. Everyday fatigue, lack of communication, personal difficulties, time restrictions, vetting procedures, all may influence people's reactions. The aim is to train people to observe, understand, and regulate instantly their own reactions. And this is a skill that can be learned. Having completed our initial assessment on the simulator, training can subsequently be fun and rewarding through the use of a variety of exercises. Because your officers at sea are a reflection of all your efforts ashore. Remember that brain-fit officers who remain in control of challenging situations create more effective and motivated crews. Thank you. So here I am again. Hope you enjoyed this short video and that you are feeling as motivated as your officers and crews should be trained to feel. Expanding a bit further of what you just saw, it has been said that the gap between knowledge and action is around 20 years. In my field of expertise, however, there have been advancements that seem to condense this period of time. The use of the neurosciences has equipped us with ways to understand what is going on in the brain. And this is to the benefit of all of us. The more we know about certain functions, the more we can intervene and assist in solving issues that frequently are less complicated than what we are at first led to believe. So whether you want to admit it or not, there are two primary drivers that oversee the operations of your vessel's safe sailing. Both of these drivers occur in the human system: your officers' hearts and your officers' brains. Your officers' hearts function as the CEO of your vessel. They are responsible for passion, purpose, motivation, and balance. An officer's heart navigates the vessels, while the brain could be viewed as the equivalent of a CFO. The brain's job is to make sure your officers has enough energy and resources to meet demands. It is the brain's responsibility, therefore, to make sure that the system does not take on more than it can handle, and that when demands do increase, the necessary adjustments are made to compensate, make important decisions, be resilient, agile, focused, and an effective communicator, to name just a few examples. As I'm sure you already know, and you might have experienced, the CEO and the CFO might not always view matters from the same perspective. The same can happen to officers on board one of your vessels. This partnership, therefore, amongst officers must be carefully coordinated and is essential to the survival of your organization and the smooth sailing of your vessels. So, while the CEO's job is to get the engine running, it is the CFO's responsibility to make sure that the engine keeps going on over time and the resources are constantly there to fuel it. In our exercise here, we just saw that regardless of the automation systems that we might have on board, if the human element runs out of ammunition and resources, then the results can be detrimental. In the case of our simulation, the officer had adequate skills and training, and a near accident was avoided. Therefore, it is important to always make sure that both the human element and a vessel's automation both run at their optimal levels. So in another slide, you can see that every mariner has a responsibility towards the vessel, the team, the sea, but also to himself, herself, and this is what we train people to do. Either on board or ashore, with a vast knowledge of the neurosciences and a number of valuable techniques, we can use to observe human reactions, emotions, and behavior. We train people to get to know themselves better, control themselves more effectively, bounce back when they feel vulnerable, and exhibit their skills and expertise at their peak level whenever called upon to do so. This is what we all want from ourselves: to be ready, equipped with knowledge and the toolbox to use when things require more attention, patience, focus, and resilience. So leadership is an action, not a position. And this is what everyone on board realizes through neuro leadership trainings. Having instant feedback on your actions gives you the power to conquer difficulties, to conquer emotions, and control behavior on board. The power of confidence on how to maneuver your own self is invaluable, and this is what the human brain can teach our body to do. Do not ignore the power of your brain and body. In conclusion, I would quote John F. Kennedy, who once said, "We all come from the sea, and it is an interesting biological fact that all of us have in our veins the exact same percentage of salt in our blood that exists in the ocean. And we also have salt in our sweat and our tears." And I may add here that this percentage of salt, when measured, assessed, and controlled, gives us emotions, behavior, and power to change everything. By working and changing on the brain we have, we can change the compass of our inner power, and this is what people in any field need to possess. Thank you so much.